Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Heart Centered live broadcast. And we have with us here today John Racine, and John is a human resource expert who is using his experience to grow a coaching and consulting business to help people overcome their challenges and to achieve success. So, thank you, John, for being here with us today.
Thank
And
you, Alina.
welcome.
It's my pleasure. I'm really excited.
Yes. And so today we were going to talk about how to make the best use of our time while we are all confined at home and practicing social distancing.
Absolutely, which I think there's millions of us that are doing that right now.
Mhm. So why don't you just start and just tell us, millions of us are confined at home. And we have, some of us are working from home, but a lot of us also have this huge amount of personal time.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that you can do during a time like this, obviously, first and foremost, take care of yourself and take care of your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside, do whatever is recommended of you. But once you get through those basics, then I think this is an amazing time to invest in yourself, to develop new skills. In my human resources experience, I've seen industries change after, let's say, like 9/11, the airline
Mhm.
industry changed, and after the oil embargo, the
Mhm.
oil companies changed. So I think we're going to see a lot of industries changing. So now is going to be an amazing time to develop new skills and to create marketability for yourself in this new economy that's going to emerge whenever it continues to emerge.
So, how do you see the new economy? How do you see this transition happening, playing out?
It's been very interesting. I talked to my mom. My mom works for a law firm and they are 100% remote working now. And I think a lot of industries are finding that the remote work opportunities are plentiful. In fact, her office is actually considering getting rid of their office space and just maybe renting a conference room for when they need to have meetings and have everybody work remotely. I think we're going to see a lot of industries go to more remote work from home opportunities. There will be opportunities that will not go away from the in person, like my background, restaurants and hotels. I don't see virtual guests checking into hotels or eating in restaurants. Although the restaurants might like that, I don't see that happening. But even if we look at like my doctor, I'm a type 1 diabetic. My doctor is seeing patients on video conferencing. I think we're going to see a lot of industries that change in the remote connectivity type of options.
And what do you think? Yeah, and so definitely we will see more remote working now that everyone has had a taste of it and kind of have realized that yeah, this is something we can do moving forward. What kind of skills do you think people should cultivate in this time to prepare for that eventuality?
Obviously, computer skills, the basics. I don't think you need a whole lot of skills to be able to get onto, say, a live stream like we're doing right now. You
Mhm.
have a camera and you're able to maybe click a link to get on. So probably some maybe presentation skills might be something to brush up on. How to communicate persuasively and effectively, succinctly. I think that's going to be incredibly valuable. If you have an expertise, and I'll use mine as an example, human resources, could I do human resources remotely? Yes, I probably could. I could do interviews on this type of platform. I could consult with a client remotely on this type of platform without me having to go in. So I think presentation, speaking type of skills are going to be highly beneficial so that you can communicate effectively.
Mhm. Right. So presentation skills, computer skills. How do you, as a human resource person, and you know that a lot of people will be entering the workforce with different expectations when this is all over. From a human resource perspective, what would you be looking for in the people that you would want to hire?
This is going to be an interesting time going forward, and it reminds me a little bit of the 2008 to 2010 time frame, which was the housing bubble that ended up bursting.
Mhm.
We had an experience. I was working at a hotel in Southern California, and we had more candidates than positions to fill. And what was really interesting was during that time, we had a lot of well overqualified people applying. To give you an example, I had a lawyer who had been laid off from his job and was applying to be a banquet server at my hotel. So we're talking about going into a highly competitive market for a very limited number of opportunities initially.
Mhm.
So I think you've got to be able to stand out and be different, whether it be in your resume or a CV. If you have an overseas viewer watching this, your curriculum vitae, make it different, make it stand out. One of the things that I did prior to 2008, when I was looking for jobs, and this was before the crash, I had learned this technique, super simple. I went to the Staples, which is an office supply store, and I
Mhm.
bought these little yellow stickers. And I was able to run those little yellow stickers through my printer and put my initials on it, JR, and I would put it at the top right corner of the resume. So as I was mailing resumes, yes, I mailed resumes, and I still think that is also an incredibly viable option. It would
Mhm.
stand out because it had that little marker on it. So in the pile, there it was. Pick a color, some type of personality, and put that into a resume. I also think the people that reach out individually and by mail are going to be the ones that are more effective. A lot of industry is all online. Everybody's using what's called an ATS, an applicant tracking system, or an HRIS, human resource information system. They're all these automated computer programs that don't really delineate out your uniqueness. It just
Mhm.
lumps you into a category. So by reaching out personally, direct mail, finding the address of the company or the recruiter, I think those things are going to help immensely.
So, do you think that physical mail that is actually sent out, people actually still read those mail?
Let me ask you, when you go to your mailbox, are there certain things that you find in the mail that you open up before other things?
Yes.
Absolutely. And here's what my recommendation would be. And this goes, I have a little bit of a direct marketing background. I study and
Mhm.
love marketing, and direct mail marketing is continuing to thrive and is actually thriving even more in this economy that we're experiencing right now. You send your resume in a regular envelope, which is a number 10 or number, I can't remember the envelope size, but it's your standard wide envelope, and you hand address it and you put a stamp on it instead of having it run through the postage meter. That stands out because it looks like personal communication. I
Ah,
guarantee it will get opened every time.
okay. And so you're talking about a real stamp as
A
opposed
real
to,
a, a
right,
real stamp, yeah,
a
by the
physical stamp.
rolls. Here in America, a lot of the post offices have those automated
Mhm.
postal centers, and you can buy a stamp or two. Yes, I would
Yeah.
encourage to actually put a regular stamp on it and drop it in the mailbox. It is so effective because it looks like a personal communication.
And would you also suggest handwriting the address out on the envelope as well?
Absolutely. I would never run it through a printer, or even worse, put a label. Those are horrible because it looks like it's going to be some marketing piece, and people don't like to be marketed to, even if it's for an opportunity. So,
Mhm.
absolutely handwrite it. If your handwriting is horrible, like mine, hand print it instead of actually scripting it out.
I like that. It's so what you're suggesting to people who are eventually going to enter the workforce in a different capacity is to actually uh, prepare application letters that are unique, personalized, and I would assume targeted to the particular company, and you would be advocating against generic applications, correct?
Very much so. People like to be recognized and identified. It has been said the most pleasant sounding thing to any given person is the sound of their own name. So, how do you do that in some form of written communication? You make it personalized to that person and individualize it to the company. In my past, I have cover letters that I use. They're templated cover letters, but there are sections in there when I'm looking at opportunities, or when I was looking at opportunities, where I would go in and customize it to the ABC company and Mary Smith recruiter, and ABC
Hmm.
company is great because, and personalize it out.
Yeah, yeah. It's so this is really interesting. So personalize your applications. Um, from a human resource perspective, and I'm sure you would receive like hundreds, if not thousands, of applications. Besides the personalized applications, which one would stand out to you?
This is a double-edged sword answer
Mhm.
because up until this point in time, I'm looking at the experience and length of time in the positions. I
Mhm.
know, and I experienced this in 2008, that there are going to be gaps in employment for a large number of people. And that's going to be the most challenging thing for most people to overcome because unfortunately, a lot of recruiters are still going to be stuck in the mindset of length of time and a gap is bad. We
Yeah.
know that there's going to be a gap. So I'm going to recommend that you personalize that gap by identifying things that you did during that time. I homeschooled my child.
Mhm.
I developed a passion for dog grooming during
Yeah.
my furlough or layoff. I think
Yeah.
that's going to be really important. I realize that there will be the gaps, and I don't look as harshly on the gaps, but not every recruiter is going to look at it the way I would. So I think
Yeah.
you've got to fill the gaps with qualitative, quantitative, substantive things to show that you were busy during the downtime.
Yeah. And I guess you would tag that back to what you said earlier about picking up new skills in this space, correct?
Absolutely. And if maybe there's an industry you've always wanted to go in and now you've got that time to dig into it, definitely
Mhm.
highlight that experience. During the furlough, I studied XYZ, became an expert at whatever it might be, and
Mhm.
highlight that on there because typically a resume is going to be chronological. So the most
Yeah.
recent experience will be at the top of that resume or
Mhm.
CV. Some people will do a more functional type style where all the skills are experienced listed first, and then down the bottom is going to be the experience. So depending how you do it, I just think that you have to highlight that experience that you gain during this time that you're out. Or if you're still working and looking to get into a different industry, utilize this time as well to do the same thing. I know a lot of industries are experiencing slowdowns, though there
Yeah.
are still people working.
Yeah. Would your advice to the audience include embarking on a new education, enrolling in a new program, or is that something you would say, hold off until we know how things are going to play out?
I would say first and foremost, again, make sure that you, your family, everything is taken care of and
Mm.
safe. The bills are covered. What we don't want to do during this time is spend needlessly.
Yeah.
If all of your basics are taken care of, then I would absolutely say yes, invest in yourself, in a course, in a program, something that is going to benefit your future. I think it's absolutely worthwhile. What we don't want to do is to invest and not use it. And that's been
Hmm.
my past. I've invested in a lot of courses where maybe I haven't gone and done everything I needed to with it. So
Hmm.
if it's going to be an investment that is something that you're passionate about, something that is
Hmm.
going to help you in the future, and you will absolutely do it, then yes, I think now is the absolute best time. We're starting to see a lot of prices move backwards. A lot of people are
Yeah.
doing coronavirus pandemic type discounts. I would take
Yeah.
advantage of them.
Yeah. I know, and I think that's great. And you had mentioned earlier on that computing and communication skills would be, the one of those skills that are going to be more sought after. How do you see other skills such as cybersecurity, marketing, um, those type of skills?
I think you hit on two of the big ones.
Hmm.
Cybersecurity was a huge concern before coronavirus happened.
Hmm.
And at the time we're recording this, one of the leading webinar platforms was having some security issues that they quickly corrected. So I think cybersecurity is going to still be an incredibly viable industry, especially as more people start working from home on a regular basis. There are
Hmm.
going to need to be communication channels that we're going to want secured, like a webinar, like a FaceTime on a Mac or an Apple type of device. So I think that is absolutely going to still be an incredibly viable industry. And definitely marketing. Marketing has gone on since the times of the Bible, let's say.
Yeah.
Jesus, if you believe in that, was marketing himself during that time, and it comes through to today. So I still think marketing is going to be incredibly important as well. And realizing that marketing is completely separate from sales. Marketing, I've heard it been said, is entering the conversation that's already happening in somebody's mind. Sales is getting that person to commit to moving forward. So I think marketing to attract an audience, whether it be for a company, for your own new startup that you do, or for yourself as your own brand, I still think marketing is probably one of the most critical skills that anybody can learn.
And so is marketing the prelude to a sale? Is that how you would conceptualize it?
That is absolutely how I would conceptualize it. If you think about it, you watch a television commercial and you get piqued by whatever it may be. Maybe it's a car, maybe it's a restaurant, maybe it's a piece of clothing. So that's marketing. That's gotten you interested. Sales is when you go to that restaurant, buy that car, or go into
Mhm.
that retailer and buy the clothing item that you saw. So yeah, I would absolutely say that marketing is the prelude.
Yeah. And so, we've talked, I like what you're saying, and this relates to the question about marketing. So you've talked about people who are trying to enter the workforce, and your advice is personalize your applications, send in applications with your resume or your CV that would get that people would open. And I guess that would be the point where you're actually trying to sell yourself. You're trying to sell yourself to the human resource personnel. And I guess the marketing comes before that, you know. And so how would you advise people to start exploring how to market themselves in this time of social distancing?
Right now, I think just about everybody has one of the most effective tools for marketing, probably in or near them, and it's a phone. Most phones nowadays have an amazing video camera on it. I would say one of the easiest ways to start marketing yourself right now, if you're looking for a professional type job, use LinkedIn. If you're looking for something more on the social side of an opportunity, let's say like a restaurant, something like that, maybe a Facebook or an Instagram, and just go and start doing lives. Pop on your webcam and go in and talk about whatever that it is that you're passionate about, whatever it is you're studying, learning, or wanting to pursue in the future, and start
Hmm.
creating that content. That is marketing. It's kind of what we're doing right here. You're kind of marketing for me a little bit so that I
Hmm.
can build an audience so that I can communicate with them. And it's no different to a job seeker. Start building out that audience because you never know who might be watching that video. I read a story several years back of someone that had lost their job, went onto Facebook and just started live streaming on Facebook. And something they said in one of the live streams attracted a CEO of a high powered company, and that person got a job. So I think that's a really good way to start marketing. And if
Yeah.
you want a really affordable education, go to Amazon and pull up some marketing books. There's amazing ones out there. There's classics that are out there. You can look up people like Dan Kennedy and Eugene Schwartz, who's a little bit older. But the topics and the principles of it are absolutely timeless.
Yep, it's so great. Uh, you talked about live videos, and I like that idea. For someone who's listening in who's not had done a live video, what would your advice be?
Be brutally honest when you get on the first time. Hold that phone and say, I've never done this before, and I'm a little nervous, because people are going to connect with that. It has been said more times than I care to think about that more people would rather die than speak in public. And I'm sure we've all heard some version of that. I lost my public speaking fear very early on when I was in college, because I was still technically a high school student in a sophomore college English class doing public presentations. So I lost that fear. But when you're brutally honest with people, I'm really nervous, but I'm just going to go with it. People will connect because people share those fears and those
Hmm.
insecurities. So by being honest, look, I'm really about this topic. I'm really passionate about Cavalier King Charles Spaniel puppies, but I'm really nervous being on camera. But I want to talk about those lovable, adorable puppies.
Yeah. And so what you're saying is really interesting, because the examples you've given have been not necessarily professionally related. You gave the example about puppies, and I think earlier on you gave another example about it's something that wasn't, not, it seemed more like a hobby as opposed to a um, going on live and putting out content that might be related to your industry. Would you recommend that? So would you recommend someone who may eventually hope to get a job in, say, cybersecurity, coming and doing a live about the animals that they like, or you would?
I absolutely would. And here's why:
Hmm.
because everybody has passions outside of work. And
Yeah.
you may connect with that person that has that same passion, whether it's a band, whether it's an animal, whether it's an
Hmm.
author, whether it's a location. I mean, I'm incredibly passionate about Disney. If you look anywhere, around me, there's something related to Disney. So that will connect me with Disney fans. And you never know who is watching that live stream, who's in a decision making authority position to
Yeah.
hire you, has that same passion.
Yep. But at some point, would you recommend um, communicating those skills across as well, so that the person who watches the CEO who watches your video about Disney isn't going to just connect on that level?
Yeah, I think you hit on how to walk the line. How
Yeah.
much do you temper the professional piece from the personal piece? And it's a
Yeah.
delicate balance. And I can't say you should do 50% professional, 50% personal, or 70-30 or
Mm.
20-80. I can't say that what it is. I think you kind of have to feel that. But yes, I think you want to do both. So if we use my background experience as human resources, maybe I go on to LinkedIn and I start talking to the smaller business owners saying, look, maybe you've had to do furloughs and layoffs. Are you
Yeah.
legally compliant in your state? I had experience in California, which is a very notoriously challenging state to do human resources in. And then I can intersperse some of the other personal things in there. So, yes,
Mhm.
I think there has to be a balance, and it's the balance that you yourself are comfortable with.
I love it. I love it. Um, yeah. So I think the information that you're providing the audience is really great. Would you have additional ideas about how to put things, you know, in a practical sense, how to get the ball rolling, right? So a lot of people, I have friends on Facebook who say, I'm at home binge watching Netflix, and how would you help people move from that position where they feel, oh, I feel so hopeless, and every day seems the same to me, and take actionable steps towards learning new skills, trying to market themselves, um, which I would think would involve some kind of networking, if it's possible. So virtually, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that too. Uh, to getting ready to enter the new economy, as you put it. What are some actionable steps that people can take from, I'm on my couch binge watching Breaking Bad to, yeah, take to that point?
Yeah, yeah, and I think there has to be an acceptance and an understanding that you are where you are. If you
Mm,
are in that binge watching phase, is that okay to do? I actually think it is. I think it is.
mm,
Do I think you should do that for the entire time? No, absolutely not. So I think you have to acknowledge your feelings, your insecurities, your trepidations, and anything that may come up while you're binge watching and kind of letting the real world go away, but realizing that there is a real world that we're all going to have to face at the end at some point. So you have to accept that it is going to change. So when you get to that acceptance point, I think you're right. Networking is going to be critically important. That's how most jobs are identified. That's how business relationships are built. So much is built, even love relationships, they all happen from personal communication and interaction. How do we do that virtually? I actually interviewed somebody for my podcast this morning, who is a relationship expert, and he said that you have to go onto dating apps to start connecting with people. So is available that will keep you engaged? Are there forums online with your industry, with your passion, that you can go and connect to? I've learned a great deal about internet marketing. There's a number of internet marketing forums. You can get in there and start connecting with people there. Maybe you're an accountant. There's accounting forums where you can start connecting with people and create your own little live streams. You can use Zoom, which is an incredibly affordable option. I think they may even have some free options going on while this is happening, to just get onto camera and talk to people, to connect with people. Networking, critically important. I think that's what I would tell people who maybe are binge watching, to start to get into action. You've just got to take that first step to say, okay, I'm done binge watching. Let me actually do something that's going to help myself, my family in the future.
I love it. I love it. And that's such great advice. John, thank you for your time and spending this time with us. For the audience who want to get in touch with you or connect with you, how would they do that? And I think if you, I wonder if you can you have the option of typing in the information on your end.
Let's see.
And if you don't, you can send it to me, and I can put it up here on the. Um,
Yeah, I don't have it. I don't have
okay.
the ability to enter. I see live comments, private chat, but I don't see any way to enter.
Okay.
So johnracine.com, JohnRacine.com. And then all of my social media is John Racine Jr., JR. So Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are all John Racine Jr. Dad would be proud.
Okay. So to reach you, this would be the website,
Yes.
and for your social media.
So John Racine Jr. Jr. And that's all three channels: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Okay. Is this correct?
That is correct.
Okay. On Facebook, Twitter, and
Instagram.
and Instagram. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess this would be the best way to reach you, and then your website, and I want to say thank you for your time.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Bye.
Bye-bye.